Basically what this video is, what you're going to get in this video is the absolute blueprint to scaling your business to $500,000 a year. So this is the roadmap to escape the feast and famine cycle in 2025. So please saddle up, get ready, take notes. It's going to be a long video, but this video is going to be so valuable to you, particularly if you're struggling. It's going to open your ideas to a new strategy, a new way of looking at it, and I'm super excited to go through it with you. And so here we go. Most filmmakers are stuck in a roller coaster revenue cycle selling commoditized services. And this is the biggest problem that we are up against right now, with camera prices coming down, AI coming in, and we just don't know what to sell. And we don't know how to position ourselves in the market that we become high value storytellers. So we end up being treated as human tripods, overworked and underpaid. And that's the stress of it a lot. And if you've got family, that is a big thing. But I know you didn't get into this industry to end up like this, because I know I didn't. I came into this industry to tell powerful stories that were going to sort of something that I would enjoy doing and get highly paid at the same time. So first, what I'd love to do is break down the current state of most video businesses. So I just did a little diagram here. The current situation that and I'm very qualified now to be able to talk about this, as I've worked with hundreds of filmmakers across the globe, from New York to LA, from Singapore to Australia to UK, all through Europe. Most people that are running a video business or running as a freelancer video filmmaker, well, especially working with corporates, are sitting between 3 and 12,000 per month. Okay, and they seem to can't break out of that. They never get really high value sales. They'll never experience getting a 50K sort of brand story deal or a big project that's more than, 30K, say. And when they do, and if they do, they experience this, and it goes into what we call feast and famine. So you get a high sale and then it drops. Third thing that you get is selling yourself as a time-based human tripod. And this, a better word for human tripod is a creative technician. So knowing technically how to put things together, or knowing how to take a set of instructions and be told what to do. That's the nicer way of saying it, but I call it a human tripod so it really gets through. It's my way of sort of hitting you hard to say stop doing that, because it doesn't work. No lead generation system, which creates a massive instability, especially if you've got children and you've got families and you've really been doing this your whole life and you just have never experienced having a proper lead generation system that's going to give you, a consistent flow of new opportunities every single day, every week, every month, in and out. Can't price or package yourself at a premium because you're selling yourself based on day rates and half day rates. You're constantly chasing clients and you're wearing every hat in the business. Now, where this leads to is what I call the creative technician trap, or the human tripod creative trap. And basically the way it works is you start selling yourself as a human tripod, which is a creative technician. This leads to low conversion rates due to low self-belief, leading you to sell on volume, not value. So you end up taking on a lot more work. This also leads to you being desperate and also getting desperation budgets, like low budgets, and no budgets cutting corners to deliver a mountain of deliverables, meaning you've got to be able to give them more. It also results in mediocre results for the client, because you don't have the budget or the manpower or the money to get great cameras and to be able to hire better talent and to get better locations. And it just has this horrible effect, which then leads you back to selling human tripods. And it also, the big thing here is what it does is it really results in low retention rates, leading to roller coaster revenues and too scared to reinvest into getting better clients. Okay. Now, ideally, what we want as a desired outcome, and this is something that I wanted, is we want to get 15 to at least minimum 15K per month consistently, or 50K, anywhere in between. Anything above obviously is better. This tells you have a real business that runs without needing you 24/7, that creates a predictable and consistent stream of revenue. You have leads on autopilot. And yes, believe it or not, you can do this. And I didn't believe it in the beginning stages when I started building the lead. I was just like, I tried a lot of different strategies. I mean, I've landed on one to three really key that work really well with video agencies. But having leads on autopilot is fundamentally, once you get this right, you should never arguably ever have to worry about money again. Because if you have something that's coming in, month out, you're set for life. really. Respected as a creative director and having high status. A lot of us get into this, the legacy of our work, just believing in ourselves, feeling the respect amongst our peers, amongst other people, amongst our clients, people appreciating us. Selling video branding, and I'm going to talk a lot about this, and this is one of the reasons why we upgraded to the blueprint. It's one of the epiphanies that I'm going to share with you today. It was a big epiphany that I had, is selling branding, not marketing videos. Creating story partnerships, which lead to way more predictable revenue, and it's a fancy way of saying retainers, getting better retainers. Attracting clients, not chasing clients. This is not what we want. We want clients to be chasing after us, asking us, when can we get you in next? When can I see you next? When can I? And what I'm going to talk a lot about today is about branding. And once you start doing someone's particularly personal branding or their company brand videos, you will find that most people, if you do it correctly, won't even move a thing on their website without consulting you. Because if you've done a good enough job, they will have such a belief in you, and the respect that you gain as a creative director goes through the absolute roof. We obviously want to have creative freedom. A lot of us got into this to be able to be free with our families, to be able to express ourselves. Less grinding and more living. So, work less, earn more is what we did this for. And this is actually possible with the thing I'm going to talk to you about today. And then having real impact and value and selling your work on impact, not on time, and just having more balance in your life. The amount of stress that I went through when I was building my business was absolutely fucking crazy. Like I lost relationships over it. I lost a lot of things over it. I was actually a monster to be around. I was a horrible person. I wasn't proud of myself. I was always frustrated. I was always angry with myself. I was always disappointed. I was always trying to do better. And, it led me to, not only just affecting my work, but it was actually affecting my lifestyle and some of the unhealthy choices that you make. When you're sitting on an edit for nearly 16 hours, sugar becomes like cocaine. It's like you just need to eat, and not having this balance can cause you a massive amount of stress, not only with work, but with your health and the relationships around you. So having balance is really important. Now, once you get this dialed in, and when I run you through everything today, it creates a beautiful flywheel effect. This is delivering a brand story offer or something that's packaged up that people can see themselves and see the value in it. What it does is it attracts premium budgets and then gets the client's results. This gives you a higher retention rate. It also positions you and your perceived value through the roof. It creates your high status. It gets you more respected as a creative director. And you also attract the clients that can afford these particular productions. You actually want to go after the top 30% of any market, and that's what this flywheel does. It's a much more leveraged system. And so moving to my story, and for those of you that don't know anything about me, and maybe this is the first time you've discovered me on YouTube or wherever you've seen me online, my journey in visual storytelling didn't actually start in a studio. It actually started, or a film set. It started in my living room with my son. When my son was diagnosed, he was actually diagnosed with autism. Everything in my world sort of shifted in a big way. I couldn't communicate with him at all, and I found it very difficult to communicate with him. And at the time, I was working for Yellow Pages, and the pendulum shift in the market was shifting. Like, people wasn't using the phone book anymore. They were moving to Google, right? And so I knew I had to pivot, and I wanted to start my own business, and that's when I started Video Labs, which was one of my very first businesses that I started. And I immediately first got stuck in this feast and famine mode. I knew that businesses would spend a lot of money because I was dealing with about $1.5 million worth of ad spend as an account executive for Yellow Pages. So I was going in and signing full pages for $50K, and these were like local pest control guys, one-man bands paying $50K. So I knew there was opportunity out there, and I knew what I had to do was I had to put a fairly decent offer in front of them. Now, I did experience one or two clients that paid me $20,000 to $30,000, but what it led to was me like going through this massive roller coaster, up and down, where I'd go 1 month 30K, 3 months nothing. And it would be scary because it would just be eating at my savings. I'd reinvest in better gear, and thinking I was onto something, and then boom, nothing, silence, crickets. It was quite scary. But then what happened was, when I get back to my son, is I realized that when I tried to connect with him, because I deeply got involved in psychology and learning about human behavior, and I wanted to understand, and I became very obsessed with this. Like, I wanted to know how to get his attention, how to connect with him, what did humans listen to. I learned about dopamine and all these other types of things of how to activate certain parts of the brain. What I realized is that when I spoke to him on a surface level, it just didn't land with him. But when I packaged what I wanted to communicate in a deep, engaging story, a story that had high stakes, conflict, resolution, emotion, he started to remember things, right? He started to engage with me, and he even came out of his shell and he started to communicate back with me. And I just knew that every time I talked to him, I had to go deep, and that's when it clicked for me. This wasn't just about my son, it was about human nature. And what I realized is people don't really buy products and services, they buy the story attached to it, right? So if you've got two pens, one pen was $1, another pen's $1, one pen was used by Michael Jackson to write Thriller, like that comes with a massive amount of energy around it, intensity, history, and things of that nature. And I just started to see it everywhere. Businesses wasn't struggling to market themselves, and this is when I really started to take the lesson from my son and realized that they were struggling because they weren't packaging their stories properly. It was their messaging that was suffering. It was they were uninspired. They were not remembered. The brands were not winning because they wasn't telling powerful stories. Then I started to package their story. I started to tell stories with high stakes. I started to tell backstories. I started to tell why stories. And something happened. That's when I discovered what I call brand stories. And brand stories is like a 3-minute packaged cinematic experience that you can sell to clients for premium. I realized that what I'd learned while trying to connect with my son was the exact thing that was needed to inject into my video business. And that's what my clients' brands desperately needed. And the truth is that clients want to generate revenue far more than they want to pretty short. And so the differentiation for me was I was getting really good at taking photos. I was taking cool shots. I was getting down low. I was doing all like good movements. And at the time, the 5D with Philip Bloom, who was a phenomenal guy. He taught a lot of things online. I followed a lot of his work and how to sort of take like that Canon 5D. And that's what I started. And I went to C100 after that. Basically, like I realized that clients wanted story. They wanted to be able to create emotional connection. They wanted to create trust. They wanted to raise their perceived value. They wanted to increase their conversions. But the most thing that they wanted to do was they wanted to differentiate themselves. And I think the biggest mistake filmmakers make is believing that clients just need a video. This is the big thing. Like your clients do not need video. The truth is videos don't want videos. They want outcomes. They want impact. That's why brand storytelling is the most valuable skill you can have as a filmmaker. Is being able to take a brand and then being able to tell their messaging and their story in a very concise, packaged way, and then selling them to them as a premium. And then you can move into things like story partnerships, which I'll talk about very soon. I'm also going to break down in this video the full blueprint and everything that you need to know. So over the next 12 months, I went from overworked human tripod to about 503,000 as a 500 brand story creator. I spent some time with, I actually flew out to Gary Vaynerchuk with a client of mine. I ended up speaking on stage at Parliament House in front of the police minister because of this. It led me everywhere. Like I ended up on Channel 7, which is the news, like CNN for Australia, so to speak, a smaller version of that. And it just started to snowball out of control. Like it just started to really build momentum. The moment this truly hit home when it was one evening, and I was walking along with a fellow filmmaker friend of mine, and he was stuck in what I call the human tripod mode. He was on the service, on the paper, he's doing about 12K per month, right? But under it was a massive laundry list of deliveries that he had to give. Like he had to do a lot of work for that. And he was constantly working, like non-stop working. Meanwhile, I was on track for a 50K a month. I'd made one video, one brand story for 50K. And that's when he said to me, Michael, make in one video than what I do in 4 months. And then I realized, okay, it kind of broke my heart because he had kids and I just wanted to help. And that's what sort of set me on this path of being able to help other people sort of get out of this and try to sell more at a premium, or to at least value themselves enough to go in with a better offer. You don't have to go in with the exact offers that I'm telling you to go in with, but you definitely need to understand that the client wants impact. They want outcomes. They want results. So I shared what I had in insights with him, and then that's sort of what led me to the first lesson. And the first lesson that I want to sort of bring home to you, and this was an epiphany fairly recently actually, because like I was just scratching my head, like some people's work was good, but it just wasn't being positioned as what I'm about to show you now. So the thing with the commodity trap, like we have to work out, how do we get out of just being seen as a commodity? That's the fucking thing you have to get out. And I really believe I can break it down into two things: marketing and branding videos. So marketing videos is really reliant on technical skills, not the creative direction. It is assets that are highly disposable. So it's, you think stories, you think reels, you think them kind of things. This is marketing videos. They work a 24-hour cycle. So again, think reels, talking heads, product shots, them kind of things. They just seem to disappear. They're made to extract value, draw eyeballs, and create noise from the audience. They're low leverage and hard to scale outside of more delivery or more time, which means you have to really crew up and get more crew. They're delivered by creative technicians that are reliant on direction from creative directors or the client, right? And this is where the big value is knowing how to direct a client. That's how you get the attention, the budget, the higher level conversation, the respect, ultimately the budget. Really, you get the big budget and this is why the agencies hire most filmmakers to do the work, right? Because most of the agencies are just representations of the filmmaker. The agency have recognized this, and what I'm trying to break through for a lot of filmmakers is the big movement that I'm trying to start is basically, let's get the filmmaker to go direct to client and scrap out the ad agency. Delivered by creative technicians that are reliant on the direction from the client or creative director, generates attention but lacks the depth to create action, dependent on leverage and fads, and tend to work on the algorithm, and that's a big thing. Most video businesses are stuck in the commodity trap, for scaling business. It's just too hard to scale. You can scale it, but you're going to have a lot of people working for you, and it's going to be a lot of delivery and a lot of management, a lot of project management, more producing, more pushing, more posting. When price is the only point of difference, it's the rest of the bottom, because there's no real value there in my opinion, because it's so easy to be able to put these pretty shots together. These sort of, a lot of kids now running around with 8K cameras can and they're very good with their creative technician stuff, and with AI it's only going to speed up in a big way. Now branding videos, a little bit different. Branding is about leading the client and demands a higher level of emotional intelligence, right? So you've got to be good. You got to be good at what you do. Like, you got to have some level of knowing how to put something together that has some level of emotional intelligence. This is important. Focus on creating assets that last and are evergreen. A lot of these particular things that I created have given them years of usage, and they will continue to keep using them because they are evergreen. They were built to be evergreen. They focus on creating assets that are lasting, gives the brand their voice. This is huge, and a point of difference besides price. This will define their marketing. It really defines everything in terms of how are they different. This is the power of doing branding. You're now differentiating a client. You're giving them voice. You're not only helping the front end in terms of acquisition, but you're also helping their talent acquisition, meaning the people that want to work with them. People want to work with people that actually have a message, that are actually cool. And so this also creates a massive amount of value as well. It creates emotional connection, trust, loyalty with audience and customers, so it gains market share, it generates sales, simultaneously defines the brand's strategic values and voice. So if you think VUB, Real Beauty, that's the video I'm going to show you, or at least I'm going to point out. It accelerates the brand's sales cycle, so it speeds up the sale for the client. The brands invest in branding over marketing because it's seen as an investment in long term. So the moment you shift from selling marketing videos to brand stories and brand assets is the day you stop leaving money on the table. This is the fact. If you tell a client's brand story correctly, you will be in the driver's seat for their whole voice and messaging, making you irreplaceable. There's people that I have told their brand story that they were very, very interested. They wouldn't even move a thing on their website. And a lot of the times when I delivered these videos, they would have to revamp the whole website to match the video that I'd given to them. And this is the power of focusing on the brand storytelling side of stuff. The other reasons why this is a win-win offer. So if we look at for you, it gives you premium budgets. For you, for them, it delivers results. For you, it creates creative fulfillment. For them, it raises their brand's value. For you, it creates higher client retention. For them, it creates emotional depth. For you, it makes an impact. And for your client, it's uncertainty. And so you have the winning argument of being able to say that this is a really valuable thing to give to them. Now, the big question is how the fuck do you create one of these? Or what do you do? Well, the first thing you need to do is you need to think about how are you going to productize your brand story offer. Like, how can you productize it so that it's not so complex, so that you're going in with all these 5,000 different types of genres, but you can get something that can be scaled up, something that if you were given 10 brand stories, you could handle them. The first place to start is to working out the style and genre of your brand story you want to create. This will dictate your clients. This will dictate your clients and industries you can niche into. A nursing home doesn't want fast-paced action sequence, right? So you have to be very, very careful how you pick the type of niche and genre that you go after. For me, it was more humanizing, meaningful, and the way I did it was I stole like an artist, right? But I didn't completely steal one thing. I took a lot of different things and then I mashed it into one, and it was my sort of style, and I called it humanizing, right? So I would take a brand, and for me, it was like, I want to humanize this brand. I want to be able to humanize them. And it was very much focused on the brand's why. That was the way I went into this, right? And the way I told the story. I wanted to know why. I wanted to know what they were fighting for, and I wanted to know what their contribution was. And this was the 3-part formula that I sort of frameworked in my mind and said, okay, I'm going to sell this as my product. This is my core offer. This is the brand story that I did. Now, I needed to figure out a style that I was inspired by or something that I wanted to work with. And these were the 3 dominating styles that I chose. The first one was the story, and this was like a corporate sort of brand story where they took a woman and they asked her to describe another woman, and it was a beautiful story. It was very humanizing. It was a story about like, you really are a lot more beautiful than you describing yourself. The second video was really and this was more the corporate side of it. This was the inspiration for my emotional intelligence. Like, I don't know if you've seen Last Minutes with Oda, and this is one of my favorite directors, Elliot Rausch. He's just fucking phenomenal. Amazing guy. And I have a lot to thank him for, because this video just made me want to be a part of film. Like, it is arguably still to date one of the best videos that I have ever seen in my life. It is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, watch it. Last Minutes with Oren. And it's a powerful story, and it's about a dog, and it was very humanizing. Now, this was representation of, say, the emotional intelligence, and then I took elements from that to say, I'm going to bring this into my style, and then I took other elements of Towers of Turkey. Now, you'll see through some of my videos, if you ever look at them, that some of them like little crescendo moments where it's very much inspired by the Towers of Turkey technique, right? But it's only sparingly. I don't use it all the time. I just use it little bits and pieces, and I only put it in where it really needed. But it was really about taking all these genres and then sort of mashing them up into one. The other thing that you can do is to look at frameworks, and I went to Hollywood for this, and some other filmmakers that I think were online teaching stuff. I can't remember exactly where I got. I think I got this from another filmmaker that I found, and then this one I got from, I think, Netflix. But the idea was to take a framework that I could follow that could give me a consistent result. So, for instance, this particular framework is the client would be in a zone of comfort. So I would open the scene up with them washing dishes. And then it would flash to, but they desired something. They wanted something. And then they entered into this unfamiliar situation. So shit just went wrong. And then they started to adapt to the situation. And so they were sort of working with it. And if you look at any movie or any Netflix show, like, they pretty much have this. Then I showed what they wanted in the end after sharing the journey, but they paid a heavy price for it. So if you think of James Bond, he ends up saving his daughter and the girl he loved, but he ended up paying the ultimate price, which is his life. And then the story returns to the familiar situation that they have changed, right? So this was a story framework that I used, and I used it repeatedly over and over again. And this is what I'm saying: by productizing your style, getting your style together, whether it's funny videos, humanizing videos, action-packed videos, it doesn't matter, right? But then using a framework like this or something like this to be able to productize it. Okay, so I'm going to talk to you about a case study that we had with Elijah. So Elijah came into us before Elijah was a highly talented filmmaker. I'd known for years, but he was suffering from the commodity trap. Like a lot of you out there are feeling this, where people are just not paying attention. They always say, I'll come back to you. I can't do it right now. I'll do it later. I'm not going to do it now. This is the general sort of signs and feedback that you're going to be getting when you feel the commodity trap. The commodity trap's going to come back and it's going to hit you fairly tough if you're not getting an immediate yes. That's how you know you're struck in the commodity trap. Now, when he came to us, he was selling projects. He was quite good. He's a very good storyteller. He's one of the better ones that I know of. And he was selling projects around 10K. And I knew that he was underselling himself, right? But he eventually landed it, and the big success story was he got a 50K retainer. And it was just simply because we shifted his focus, to selling, different core values that the client actually needed. And he moved straight quickly into sort of brand story very quickly. And I mean, if you can see here, he says basically, like, I just landed first 40K project, something I used to charge between 10 and 15K. Thanks MH Cloud team for all you guys and inspiration. We don't know at the fingertips everything we need to live richly, work richly, and deliver richly. Not only do I get paid more, but the most exciting thing is that I can now take this client all the way, and I love what I do without any restriction. So basically the flywheel that I was discussing before about how when you get a client that pays you your worth, then you can actually invest in that project, get the better color grading, get the better team involved if you need a better team, or if you need to get outside help. And you can invest in, say, motion graphics if you need to, or a designer to tidy things up, the thumbnail, things of that nature that just package up that delivery so much nicer to get the client more results. That relationship between you and client then goes skyrocketed. And they just want to continue working with you. And then from brand story, we move them into what we call the story partnership model, which is a lot better of a model to do. So this is ultimately what he ended up doing. He ended up going from 10K projects, and he ended up eventually getting a 50K retainer. And that was from one client. The client was extremely welfare, but the client valued branding over marketing. And this is the power of being able to talk to clients in a way when you're talking to them from a branding point of view. Because what we're about to talk about next, when we get into this sort of marketing side of stuff and being able to get lead generation, we don't want to be able to be doing these stories so customized that we can't scale the business up. We still need to have creative fulfillment. We still need to be acting as a director. We still need to be walking in like a director. And this is the beautiful thing about having a productized service. It allows you to direct the client. And a lot of the budget is going to live, like a lot of my sales happened by walking into the client and going, we need to tell a story about what your why is, what are you actually fighting for, and then what is the contribution. Now, what brand can fucking argue with that? Not many brands can argue with it, but it gave extreme direction from me because I was using a framework, a product. I productized it, but they didn't know that. They just thought I was a creative genius, that I'm just coming up with these ideas, but I wasn't. What I was doing was just saying it's going to be a why story, fight story, and a contribution story. And that is what we need to do in order to be able to give the client the direction that we need. The struggle over selling brand stories over marketing. And let me explain to you the 1.0 series of the brand story creator model. And we've upgraded this now to the brand story creator blueprint. Okay. So this basically students that we were dealing with in the past 2 years, they were killing it, right? Students were killing it, selling major brand stories, but still were struggling to keep their revenue consistent. It was still creating that yo-yo effect. And the reason why it creates the yo-yo effect with brand story is because you get a new client, you're in the feast mode, but now you're in delivery. And when you're in delivery, everything stops when you're in that delivery moment. So you're not doing any marketing or any push. You're not doing anything. You're just making the content. You're creating a film. You're creating a brand story. But now you've stopped working, and so now you don't have any lead gen. You don't have any way of doing it. So I had to sort of look at the pattern of this, and I had this problem right at the beginning of my agency, but never when I discovered brand stories. For me, they had skyrocketed into my video business. I wanted to make it unreasonable for filmmakers not to see the same success, and I saw him becoming a success and a brand story creator. I looked into the patterns between those killing it and those in the student body, and there was one other clear distinction, and this is really important, that was separating them from, that eliminated the sort of feast and famine situation of the program. And what we found was the students that weren't suffering, they had a second person. They had an EA. They had either an appointment setter or an EA. Now, when I look back on my time as a filmmaker, for about 8 of the 15 years, I always had an assistant. Like, I ran from 3 people. It used to be Jonah, but now it was Ethan, it was myself, and then it was Alfred. Alfred was DP editor. I was sort of creative director, and I did a bit of shooting as well, and editing with him. But majority of us was just 3 of us. And the biggest thing is when you don't have that second person, and we're going to show you how to sort of find this second person and obviously make this second person a reality, so it's not going to cost you an absolute fortune. Because if you haven't got the revenue, then obviously you're going to be like, Michael, well, how the fuck am I going to get this second person? But there is this thing called appointment setters, right? And these appointment setters are absolutely vital. And I discovered this far too late in my business, and a lot of you watching this won't even know what an appointment setter is. But an appointment setter is someone that is absolutely dedicated 8 hours a day to finding you premium leads. Now, they obviously need a methodology, they need a strategy, and they need a process. And we do that for filmmakers in the 500K brand story blueprint. We do this. So in the last few months, we worked out a new foundational model in the appointment engine. So we basically ran a brand new lead generation system called the appointment engine to ensure that no brand story creator is without an appointment setter and a dialed in lead gen system. So you need to have this appointment setter to run the engine, right? So we set up the engine, which consists of CRM and a process and a methodology. And then you grab your driver, which is your appointment setter, and they go in the driver's seat, and then boom, off you go. And the effect is just, I mean, arguably once you've dialed this in, you should never ever have to worry about money ever again. Because when we rely on referrals and one-off clients, this is what tends to happen, right? And even this is quite consistent. Like, because for me, it wasn't even like this. It was one, and then it'd go months and months and months and months. Sometimes I went up to 6 months, and then boom, spike again, and then maybe I have 2 bumps, which was crazy. But when you have consistent leads coming in every single week on in, what this does is it creates a massive stability in your business. It also creates your natural confidence to go through the roof, and that the very fact of your nuance when you walk into a boardroom, you have this unshakable confidence because you know you're seeing people tomorrow, because you know you've got more leads coming in, because you know your appointment set is 8 hours looking for the best leads in the world. And that's the power of being able to do that. And so if we look at a case study, how we did this, when we did this with Greg, and it was extremely powerful. He basically went from doing like 5K a month, and we ended up helping him get an appointment setter. We ended up giving the methodology. And I don't know if you've been following me for a while, you'll see that
I've been working with Michael and the Cloud team now for about 8 months. The growth that I experienced in those initial 6 months was unlike anything I expected. It wasn't just sales and marketing assistance. It was their guidance on working on my own personal branding, which has had all kind of tangible and intangible benefits to my business. Between Michael and all the other excellent coaches within the program, if you own a video production company that you're trying to grow and scale, I would look no further than Michael.
So he just goes on to tell us, but really the behind the scenes of this was, yes, we created a personal brand for him. We helped him get his messaging right, his offer dialed in. You can see that we did a full offer here. This is us actually training up his VA and how to help her sell and to position. And she comes most Fridays to, to get sharper and sharper and sharper. But the confidence that he has now is that he's got someone 8 hours under a correct methodology, the correct sort of process, and he's out into the marketplace just selling, constantly filling his calendar up. And the result of that is coming into us at 5K, and then going up to 15K. The next sort of epiphany that I had when upgrading this was the scaling and the stability on systems, and how systems play a massive component of that, which is they're messy creative syndrome. Like, most creatives can't stand systems. We don't like them. And the opportunity costs that come with that, of not doing it, is what we're going to talk about today. It creates sloppy communication, missed opportunities, wasting time, difficult to scale. And it also becomes where, like, the big thing is missed opportunities. And then this comes down to, we are humans. We are not built to remember everybody. We can only really hold sort of 5 to 15 meaningful relationships, if that. But when you're dealing with a CRM system like mine, or back in the day that was getting up to about 1,000 to 1,500 to 2,000 clients, brands, it becomes very, very difficult to be able to remember everything. And so we need to be able to make sure that without a strong system, you will be forever having a job, not a business. And that's a big thing, is that you need to make sure that you're leveraging it. And the solution to this is a CRM system. It should be more than a dump list on an Excel sheet. It needs to be truly systemized. You need to see your opportunities at a snapshot, from a helicopter view. You need to be able to nurture and follow up leads automatically. You need to be able to work on the highest leverage leads instantaneously, because there's no point working on the crappy ones. You may as well work on the best. And you need to treat leads like gold. And that's, basic common sense that we need to be able to do. The relationship equals quality and frequency. That's what we need to be able to do. And we have to systematically be able to go after them in the follow-up. Effectively convert leads is very key. We need a robust, and it just says here, we need a robust CRM system. We need rapid response times. We need to be able to allow you to nurture your leads, and we need to let your team do the call, so you can actually be able to scale this up. The other thing I want to talk to you about is Trent. So Trent, before we met Trent, before joining Client, was already in the top 10% of agencies. He was doing consistent 30Ks. However, he was barely breaking even. Clients were slow to make their payments. He struggled to scale his business to 30K mark consistently. However, he had put the work in and had the foundations for a 7-figure agency. Now, over the past 2 years with Clout, he had gone from strength to strength and grown year on year. The main areas of focus have been in refining his deal making and offer process, along with helping refine and build out his systems. Now, systems is the foundation. Where systems really kick in is when you start getting volume, right? Let's say you get the lead gen sorted, and then all of a sudden you're like, fuck, I got 10 clients I got to deliver high level brand stories to, and you don't have a house for that. And you don't have a flow for that, and you don't have a workflow, so to speak, and a lot of you would know what workflow is through Premiere Pro, you're going to find that very difficult. And so over time, Trent had gone from 3 main operators now to running a highly effective 5-man team, because he has systems. He's been able to scale up his business. And so the aftermath of all that, the result has been a consistent 60 to 90K months and highly profitable. He's launched his second office in 2024. This guy's only 24. He just turned 24. Did 170K in September in 1 month, and in the process of closing a 400K, and that's USD dollars, production. Okay, so he's doing incredibly, incredibly well. And as you can see, he just doesn't stop. 18K, 25K, big days. I've got a lot of respect for this guy. He's just action taker, young, not foolish, very disciplined, does the work, follows what we say. I respect him a lot. And because of that, if you look at him, he's genuinely doing his thing. And he's building something at a very young age. And his life will transform. He will just go from strength to strength and just keep going. And he's got the lifestyle as well. You know, he's not overworked, he's not underpaid, but he has the systems that support that lifestyle. And that is the key here. And that's something that I want to bring to your attention. And we're going to go through all this in a second. Now, the big part of what I want to talk about today is if I had to start from scratch, and I know you all want to know the answer to this. If I had to start from absolute scratch, so if I was the human tripod and I wanted to go to 500K per year, this is what I would do. And this is what we show our clients, right? The first thing we're going to do is we have to create a high value offer. We have to go in with the gold. If we don't have the diamonds and the gold, then what the fuck are people going to pay for? We can't con our way in there, right? And so let's say that you're a filmmaker and you're not that skilled and you can't do brand stories. Well, then you need to figure out like something that is super high valuable to your client. Could be a set of frequently asked questions. It could be that you break down a very specialized video sales letter, but it needs to be something that is high in value. For me, it's story. For me, it's humanizing. For me, it's raising the perceived value. For me, it's about creating emotional connection, right? That's going to build massive market share. It's going to differentiate the client. And that's where I'm going in with it, right? That's the first thing we do. But the very first thing we're going to do before we create the high value offer is we need to get a specific person in mind. Like, I prefer to work with a niche because it's cheaper on marketing. It's easier to get their attention. It's the same problem every time. You're always going to get the top 30% that's going to get attention to you. Like anybody that's in the industry and they say, oh, this person's a specialist. It's a little bit like, general doctor versus a heart specialist. You have a heart problem, you go to a heart specialist. That's where most of the top 20%, the ones that have got the money, that want to spend, they're going to go to a niche specific person, right? And so you want to be niche specific. And we've got a very strong methods in order for us to be able to get this down. And we break this down in a very specific way. Like, we use the Ikigai method because we want to make sure that you love it, it's passionate about it, that you're also, obviously, we need to make sure that you are going to make money from it. And because we've got so many insights, because of us working with hundreds of filmmakers across the world, we know the ones that are profitable and not so profitable. Once we've done that, then the high value offer and unique methodology comes in. And this is really fundamental. Like, when we're creating a high value offer, we want to think about marketing, we want to think about branding, we want to think about all the things that they potentially could use to make money. Now, for me, I don't particularly believe in marketing. I don't like it. I don't want to know about it. I'll do it if it's a long-term story partnership, if I have to. But for me, where I like to pay, if we look at how people come to be a client in most situations, first, they're made aware of it, of the product or service. At some point, you was made aware of a red camera. And then you go into what we call consideration. So you would go look at the YouTube channel, you'd look at the reviews, you'd look at this, you'd look at the actual brand story of the thing. To me, this is the best place to play and to create your offer around the consideration, because this is where the money gets made, or conversion, right? These are the two places that I like to build an offer out. Now, once I get an offer, I typically like to hypothesize the offer. And then once I make the hypothesization, or guesswork, I go out and make a sale. Once I've made a sale, then I'll deliver the video. Then what I do, and this is where a lot of filmmakers fuck up. They do not collect the insights to what worked, what didn't work. They're too afraid to find out what didn't work, but the what didn't work is how you get to refine the offer to be able to make another sale, to be able to clean it up. And you put it through 5 times so that you can clean up and dial in a beautiful winning offer. So once I've created that offer, then what I'm wanting to do is build out an omnipresence. And the omnipresence for me is about personal branding. We have to have a personal brand. Personal branding is about setting ourselves up as high level, high end creative directors. We need to be positioning ourselves as thought leaders that has perspective, that thinks for ourselves. And we do this through like our social media content playbook, which we have some ideas around dropping insights, not value. Value is where you're telling everybody how to do something. Insights is really sharing case studies and how you went and did it and why you did it and what you did. And that creates more curiosity. When you're personal branding, when you're putting content out, particularly if you're running a YouTube channel, it's very powerful to get people to lean in because they want to know more information. So omnipresence is really good. And we go through like an omnipresence checklist. We have multiple different checklists on this. We have a sort of formula for LinkedIn, Instagram, Facebook, X, YouTube being a very powerful thing for filmmakers. Like running your own YouTube channel is super important. And then we leverage, our system for ChatGPT. We have multiple prompts to help get it out faster. And again, we are really big on this thing, which is called creating insights, not value-driven content. I don't like value-driven content because it creates value vampires. Insights creates curiosity, and curiosity leads to sales, right? So we typically do it like this. So we'll sort of either talk about a problem, an outcome, or an idea. So you could either talk about like an idea framework for your niche. Like an idea could be like, here's five ideas that you can create better XYZ content. Then the trick is like why does this idea concept benefit you, rather than saying how, and then where to look or where can they find. But first you talk about the idea, why does it benefit you, and then where to look for that particular thing, and then it's the CTA. And I can give you some examples of this, but I'm not going to today. But basically and it should be on my other posts on my YouTube, where you can actually get this, because this is, to me, is very powerful in a sense, being able to have this all set up. Now, once you've got this high value offer completely set up, then what we need to do is we need to move into what we call the appointment engine. The appointment engine is fundamentally, I keep saying this to a lot of filmmakers once they've got this set up, and I see it with a lot of filmmakers that have got this set up. Once you have your appointment engine set up, you arguably should never have to worry about money ever again in your life. That's it. No more stressing. It's over. It's finite. It's finished. You should be okay after that. If you've got a really good dialed in appointment engine that runs like clockwork, you should be producing leads every day, and it should be able to work straight away. So the first milestone is the consistent flow of outbound leads. We do that through a particular methodology, and we've got it all laid out here. I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but basically what we do is we use the story method, and then we use the film method, and we use certain techniques, and we run this as a system, which is the helicopter view of the appointment engine. Once you've got a strategy like the appointment engine, but you need some kind of flow of way of finding clients, you then need to figure out how can you get out of that, because you don't want to be the person that has to send out the outreach. You don't want to be the person that has to go and chase the client. You don't want to be the person that has to do the consistent work every single day, because you're out making stuff, filming stuff, creating stuff, telling brand stories. So you need to find either a PA or an appointment setter, and that can happen on places like onlinejobs.ph, Upwork. These are really powerful way to find an appointment setter. Here is where we do the job listing, and then once we've done the job listing, then it's very simple from there. It's pretty much, we put the ads out, and then from there, we start to look at launching ads. Now, once you've done outreach and you're starting to generate money, you should be able to invest some of that money back into ads. And ads are really powerful, because when you have an appointment setter and the ads come through, the appointment setter can go in. And as long as you've set them up with the right script and the right method, once that's set up, as I said, you'll never have to worry about money ever again. Now, once we've done that, we need to have a structured sales process. We need to make sure that the key milestone for this is the cloud sales process script. So we need to have what we call a script, and you can get scripts from things like ChatGPT. Now, obviously, ChatGPT is only going to take you so far, but the main thing that I want to sort of point out to here is just to make sure you ask sophisticated questions. Questions leads to internal pressure. Internal pressure leads to self-realization. And that's what you want the client to come to. Self-realization that they need a powerful message that's packaged in a 3-minute window. A self-realization that emotional connection is going to do wonders for their business. A self-realization that differentiating them is going to get your client out of the commodity trap. Okay? That's the kind of questions you need to be asking, and that's what a well script should be. 80% listening, and then 10% basically sort of presenting, and then the other 10% should be sort of closing down the sale, right? So you want to have a script that's built on questions, not built on just talking at people. Frames are a coping method to control the massive flow of information coming over through a sense. So you do need to have what we call frame control, as well as scripts and questions. frames as something that I've sort of learned about through psychology with my son. I was learning about sort of the art of seduction. I was learning about human psychology. I was learning a lot about like how to frame things, and just things like framing up the call before you start. It sets the tone for the client to sort of listen to you, respect you, feel like they're not being sold to. But it also demonstrates creative leadership, because that's what they're really going to be looking for. The second milestone is to first brand story deal secured. Now, this in itself, once you've done the sales, is you want to get a sale, and a sale is really, really key and fundamental. You want to make sure you close down a deal. Getting that first sale or the first brand story for 30, 40K, it's like, it's like pop the champagne, you know, the Conor McGregor, 60 G's, baby. It's like, it will be the best sale of your whole life, no matter how big a sales you get after that. That very first big sale will arguably just get you so excited and so fulfilled inside, because you'll just be feeling like, wow, this worked. So that's the main thing you need to do. And then it's about developing a story partnership. And we show our clients how to lock in more higher level story partnerships. We call it story partnerships because we think it's a more nicer way of saying, let's put you on a retainer. And that retainer should go from anywhere sort of from 5 to 15,000 per month. Okay. And that's the framework at a helicopter. Now, obviously in this video, we've been going for about an hour. I can't get through everything in terms of absolutely everything, but you can definitely see the areas in which that you, as the filmmaker, can focus on. Things like create a high value offer. You know, create a unique methodology. I didn't talk a lot about that, but that's something that we do talk about inside the 500K Brand Story Creator Blueprint, which is about creating your own methodology, which is about really creating your own style and genre, but the way you think, it's the why, the fight, the contribution, you know, that kind of thing. That's really, really key. And then it's about creating a mechanism that you can systematically outreach to people or to get the attention and to start conversations. And you want to have that systemized so that someone else can take over that and be able to do that for you. Okay? And then the last thing is having a very well structured sales process. Now, a lot of things are underneath this to think about, and a lot of work we put into it particularly, but it's fairly simple when you really think about it, from getting from where you are in that human tripod trap to about $500,000. So, I mean, if you can take this blueprint and start to figure out how you can construct this in your mind, I think that's going to do you the world of good. So after making the leap from human tripod to brand story creator myself, and helping hundreds of other brand story do the same, we have refined the process, not only surviving but thriving in the new age of video and brand filmmaking, into brand story creator blueprint. Now, after months of testing with some of our inner circle clients, of students, being able to roll this out, we are focusing on solving 4 major bottlenecks. The first one is the high value offer creation. And so we're actually putting together an offer for this particular month of March, which we'd like to offer to you. And this is basically what we're going to do. So after testing numerous different variations and other frameworks, we've nailed down offer creation process to ensure you consistently create video packages that command 30K plus budgets. So countless filmmakers have implemented this, and you can go through our list of testimonials. It's endless. And to be able to go into the perfect niche and everything else. And obviously creating a package that you actually love making. Like, I loved making brand stories under the humanizing sort of model. I loved doing that. And these are just some of the testimonials. The other thing that we're going to help you solve is the appointment engine. Now, the appointment engine is everything. You get that dialed in with a good offer, and Bob's your uncle, Fanny's your aunt, off you go. You'll never have to see me again. Right? Getting that dialed in, you are good. You are really good. But if you want to be excellent, we have to keep going. And that is sales and closing. It's understanding the art of communication. So taking the Clout 7-figure sales system, doctoring the internal pressure, pricing frames control, proposal framework, and the value-based pricing. Obviously, that's the big thing, is putting your pricing and structure together. And we do a lot of this in the high-value offer creation as well. The appointment engine, I'm not going to go over its entire tray, but the beast of an animal that it is, it's a thing that arguably you get this down in your business, you'll use this for the next 10 years. It's that important, because we don't teach you the strategy. We teach you the strategy, but we also teach you the fundamentals. The reason why I'm a big fundamental lover is because if you know why something works, it doesn't matter if it goes out of trend or starts to change. Because you understand the fundamentals of it, it allows you to be able to sort of change with it because you understand. The brand story business system, almost every filmmaker that has worked with cloud didn't have any beyond an Excel sheet or lose the price of paper. And this is basically has building out a CRM system so you can manage your whole business through your leads and sales and everything else. So the brand story creator blueprint is something that we've been working on behind the scenes for the past several months. It's all brand new. It's a totally brand new thing that we're just bringing out. We've been seeing it from a few beta test clients. It's a no-brainer for us to implement these insights and see if we can validate the results on a wider scale. For our initial validation batch, we're looking for 5 videographers or 5 video business owners. There's a little bit of a difference there, looking to scale past 10K months into 30 to 100K range in the next 6 to 12 months. This is what we're looking for. So we want to validate our new system and blueprint that we're testing internally and ensure that it can work on any business owner or creative before we fully release this to the public and increase on the and increase obviously in our prices. So we're going to be increasing the pricing obviously as well. So let us help you build your perfect niche, your high value offer, your appointment engine, the cloud sales process, and the brand story business system. This is what you're going to get. Huge things. Now, for only the first 5 people that actually take us up on this, the first 5 people who enroll before the 31st of March, we're adding these exclusive bonuses. We're giving you one-to-one access to our private support team. This is like your own private room. This is a game changer. After testing this with a few clients, allowing clients to have private line to communications with me and my team, instead of airing out all your issues into a group, it becomes less embarrassing and it's easy for you to talk to us, and you get that one-to-one support. You'll also get appointment setting training. So you bring your own appointment setter, or we'll show you how to find one. We'll train your appointment setter for you, bring your VA or hire one, and we will personally train them inside our system to ensure you generate high value leads in your business day. Like, this is unheard of, like crazy cool bonus. I would just do it for this and this only. You'll get a full system build out designed by Cloud. Again, I would do it for this as well. We will set up your entire CRM system. This includes automated lead nurturing, follow-ups, reminders, and client engagement sequences. We'll pre-built templates and messages systems so you don't have to guess on how to engage leads. We'll give you a structure to manage your leads efficiently so that you'll never lose track of high-value prospects. This is a fully functioning lead management system designed to keep your pipeline full and your deals moving forward. This is very valuable. We'll also give you 1 month's worth of media buying, and we'll run your ads up to 5K after spending over 125, and we've seen firsthand that paid traffic is faster and easier way to acquire clients. Look, you can turn ads on once they're done properly, and within 48 hours you've got a lead. Especially if you've got your offer, your personal brand, and everything completely dialed in, it can be within 48 hours, boom, you've got clients. Therefore, we're offering you the ability to have internal team launch your ad campaign, leverage all the proven ads, target, and copy that has worked for us and other brand story creators. So we'll basically do it all for you. Pretty good. And then the cloud content playbook you'll get for $1,000. We'll give you that. They'll give you exclusive content and way to put your content together. So I'm basically saying to you, act now before this closes. I've opened this up to our team's calendar to ensure you can find slots for working. You'll find the link down below where you can book in. We're only giving this to the first 5 people. Who we enroll gets the exclusive bonuses. So just remember, the first 5 only get the exclusive bonuses. We can't give it to everybody. You must enroll before the 31st of March 2025. The spots fill this offer, and all bonuses will be gone. Just understand we do sell out this pretty quickly. So if you're seeing this, get onto it fairly quickly and click the link below to apply. And that comes to the end of my video. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you got something out of it. I hope you got some structure out of it. For those of you that are just watching this video because you just want some tips and tricks, I hope you got something that you can implement straight away. For those of you that are much more serious, don't forget to like and subscribe for those that were just looking for the content and just that. But for those of you that are seriously wanting to work with us, book into the calendar below and let's have a serious conversation. This has been Michael Hansen. Again, don't forget to like and subscribe or subscribe to the channel, and I appreciate you watching. Peace.